Okay, well, we're back. This is another hard class. This class usually takes me probably 4 hours, but we have 48 minutes. So we'll cover what we can. So we'll talk about essential oils. The history of essential oils, this is from NIH. I'm quoting NIH, National Institute of Health, a bit here. Fragrant plants have been used in healing practices for thousands of years across many cultures, including ancient China, India, and Egypt. There are over 200 references to aromatics, incense, and ointments throughout the Old and New Testament of the Bible: frankincense, myrrh, hyssop, cinnamon, cassia, rosemary, and spikenard. All were used for anointing and healing the sick. So this is very biblical, using these oils. The scented liquid taken from certain plants using steam or pressure. That's the two ways. It can be steam or pressure is how they get it. Essential oils contain the natural chemicals that give the plant its essence, specific odor or flavor, and flavor. Essential oils are used in perfumes, food flavorings, medicine, and aromatherapy. Have you ever used essential oils for your recipes? Sure. Mary Lou has essential oils in the kitchen that she has not by the stove because we don't want to damage it, but she has a little rack about this wide of her different essential oils that she uses in cooking. Laboratory studies and animal studies have shown that certain essential oils have antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, calming, or energizing effects. Lavender and tea tree essential oils have been found to have some hormone-like effects. Studies in animals show sedative and stimulant effects of specific essential oils, as well as positive effects on behavior and the immune system. Has anyone here been a school teacher? I know we have homeschool teachers. I have a friend, a school teacher, actually a science teacher, and she uses essential oils in the classroom, unknown to the school administration. And she uses a diffuser, and she wants to calm the kids down. She might put lavender. As the kids breathe it in, it kind of calms them down when they come in from outside or first thing in the morning. Or let's say they're going to have a test. She doesn't use lavender. She'll use something to kind of perk them up so they can think really good and get good tests. Safety testing on essential oils show very few side effects or risk when they are used as directed. The problem with essential oils, or if they are just drank, then you're in a heap of trouble. But if you use just the drop, PO, by mouth, as if it's supposed to be by mouth, or transdermally, as it's directed, you don't have the problems. But as with, there's a lot of things that could be taken. You could take the fuel out of your car and drink it and you'd be a heap of trouble. So you just use horse sense there. Allergic reactions and skin irritations may occur in aromatherapies or in patients. My daughter, I think Mary Lou said yesterday there might be one or just a couple citrus, but the rest peppermint. Any of those guys, oil of oregano, tea tree, any of those. She has to leave the room. She can't even breathe. It's terrible. My youngest son is not as sensitive, but he has sensitivities to essential oils. My youngest son can't eat peanuts or he gets very sick. Some people are allergic, as we said yesterday, to cashews or dairy or wheat. You may have a celiac person that just putting lipstick on, which has wheat in the lipstick, can have some significant challenges. There are people who are so allergic to peanut butter. I know a lady who's allergic to peanut butter. Her husband cannot eat peanut butter, for if he kisses her, there's a problem. So the only time he can have peanut butter if he goes on a business trip, but then he has to stop the day before he comes home. And then, or not kiss his wife. That's how sensitive people can be to different things. And so it's expected someone could have some sensitivity here also. Sun sensitivity may develop when citrus or other essential oils are applied to the skin before sun exposure, and that's true. You know, be careful with your citrus oils because you could have some problems there with sun exposure. Are all essential oils equal? No, they are not. We'll just be straight up right there. They are not all equal. Different distillation or extraction processes can have dramatic effects on their chemistry and medicinal actions. There's several keys you want to use in choosing essential oils. But you should be doing it already, just as you do with your food. Where are you going to get more nutrition? A green tomato or a nice red tomato? The nice red tomato, because it is vine ripe. Would you rather eat a watermelon in January, or would you rather eat a watermelon in July? Yes? So do you see the correlation? You want, whether it's essential oils, whether it is just the herbs themselves, you want them to be grown in the part of the world that they have the most nutrition. Lavender, Europe. Europe is the best for nutrition that's going to be uptaken in lavender. Now, I don't know that they have kudzu essential oil, but if you wanted to have kudzu essential oil, then you want it in Southeast United States. That is where the kudzu has the most nutrition. So you want whatever company you use for your essential oils, you want them to pay particular to that. If you're using it for medicinal benefits, it doesn't matter if you're just using it to make the room smell nice. But if you're after a therapeutic dose, you want a company that buys their oil from the part of the world that it is the highest in nutritional value. The next thing you want to do is to make sure that it is harvested when it is the most nutritious. You've done hay before. So let's say that your hay is time to cut, and it's raining. What do? Do you cut it? No, it'll go bad. So you have two choices. My father would pray that it would not rain when the hay was at the highest nutrition. See, it has a bell curve in nutritional value in the hay. And so you want to cut your hay here. But if it's raining here and a farmer watches the forecast, he's either going to cut it here or here. If it's a number of several days, he tries to figure out when he's going to harvest it, that he will have the most nutrition for his horses or his cattle. So you want an essential oil company that goes to, and a lot of our essential oil comes from the South America, down in the Amazon. And you want it to be harvested when it was the most nutrition. How do you know that? Well, you can test it. It can be tested and run through the lab, and the chemicals that are particular to the medicinal benefit, they will measure those, and when they get at top, that is when they harvest. And herbs can be done the same way for extracts or for just buying bulk herbs. There are companies that do that. Here's the problem. You may be buying from an area that doesn't really care, and they'll just harvest it whenever. And there are companies out there that sell essential oils that buy it on the open market in barrels. They want tea tree oil, who's got the best price? You want wild orange, who's got the best price? But it may not have been harvested in the world that's the highest nutrition, or been harvested at peak nutrition, like vine ripe. What's my favorite sandwich? Yes. I want that. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want a green tomato on there. I want it, just perfect. That's your best tomato. So yes, not all essential oils are equal. How are essential oils applied? Direct inhalation, indirect inhalation, applying essential oils to the skin. And there's two ways to apply it to the skin. You can apply it with a carrier oil, or you can apply it where it's just straight. And when you apply it just straight, it is called neat, N-E-A-T. And so a person says, how do I apply it? Do I apply it neat? Apply it neat means you can put the essential oil straight. But let's say you've got clove oil. Do you want to put clove oil neat to your skin? It'll burn you. It's hot. Use a carrier oil. Oil of oregano. Let's say that you have athlete's foot. You know what athlete's foot is? Now, you probably do not know what this one is. This is probably a southern term, but it is called toe jam. Have you ever heard of toe jam? Okay. The military can get this, and where they are out days and days and days, and they don't change their socks. And you can get a sliminess between the toes. Have you ever seen that? It can become painful. Yes. And you've got to clean that. And the best thing that I have found to treat that and kill it is oil of oregano. But do not put it neat. Say 20% oil of oregano, 75% olive oil. It still burns. Extremely effective. You could use tea tree oil, but because it's so raw, be careful. Don't put it neat. So that's what we're looking at. It can be applied essential oil to the skin. It can be neat, or it can be essential oil. The other advantage it can be with a carrier oil. The other advantage of a carrier oil, besides where it's diluted and not as hot, when you put it on neat, you can have an evaporation rate extremely high. I mean, very high. 92, 93% evaporation off. Well, frankincense, that's expensive if it's a good quality. You may pay $100 for 15 ml. And so you don't want to waste it. And so by putting a carrier oil, you don't have as much evaporation off into the air. The other thing is by a good carrier oil, it can actually help to drive it into the skin. Like my favorite carrier oil is fractionated coconut oil. Excellent carrier oil. And that will help to drive it in there, and you will have better effect. But there are some things that I find better effect if I just use neat. An example, I have a person comes in and they're having a PTSD attack. You've heard of PTSD? Or, pardon? Or let's say you have a person that comes in and they're about to blow up. They're about Mount St. Helens with anxiety. And I have seen numerous times people they're about to explode with anxiety. Within 2 minutes, the anxiety is here. There. Now let me go back and clarify, as I've tried to do. None of these oils heal. None of the oils heal. Who heals? God. And you ask God to bless the essential oil or whatever you're using. That is the power. But God gave us tools to use, such as herbs, food. You don't say, God, I just don't, it's expensive. I don't want to do on gardening. Just keep me alive the rest of my life, and I'm not going to eat there again. God's going to say, boy, I gave you a brain. I gave you food. Now use both of them. Right? He gave us the food. Ask him to bless it, and he will keep us alive. And so you got to have God's power. Now, what I use is 1 drop of lavender right here at the pulse. And I'll rub the two here, or rub it here. It gets on the other wrist. And then I put vetiver, Vetiver, vetiver. Vetiver is called the PTSD essential oil. I rub it here. Now, why am I putting it here? To go into the blood. That's where you can feel that pulse right there. And transdermally, it will go into the blood right here, just like a nicotine patch, a nitro patch. You've done nitro patches before. We used to do, before we did nitroglycerin, we were doing nitroglycerin patches. And they're still doing nitro patches today. It will transdermally go into the blood. Now you have them breathe it. And now, where's it going? Into the lungs. From the lungs, it's going to the blood. Yeah. The blood is so important in medical missionary work. Take care of the blood. Make sure the blood is not toxic. Just as we said this morning, make sure the soil is not toxic. Make sure the blood is not toxic and it has what it needs. And usually, it's normally, within 2 minutes, they plumb calm down. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. This is just topical. The English model is diluted. Inhaled is the German model, and ingested is the French model, undiluted. Okay. Y'all remember this situation? What was she using? No? Spikenard. Spikenard is what she used. It's a plant, and they made an oil out of it. Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Now look, I don't know what exact size it says in the scripture, but I don't know what size bottle it would, but it's a fairly decent sized bottle. And just think if you broke that bottle, the odor that you would have. It would be, no question, everybody would have known it. Everybody. Definitely Judas picked up on it. Extraction method, steam distilled from the rhizomes of the spikenard plant. Common application method can be applied neat. Remember, y'all know what neat is now. Diffused or inhaled in the aroma directly. So inhaled is you're smelling it. Diffused is where you're putting in a diffuser like that school teacher was doing. It's good for aging, anxiety, candida, cellulite, convulsions, depression. It's a detoxer. It's also a diuretic, emotional or emotions, gas, flagellus, indigestion, insomnia. Think of all the different drugs you'd have to take. Isn't it cool? Isn't it? I mean, it's just, to me, it's just so cool. What God has given us in these simple herbs can treat so many different things. And then look at your negative effects. Irritated skin, menstrual issues, muscle spasms. It can be used as a perfume. Pink eye. I'm not sure how they use it on the pink eye. It's just documented that in research that it can be used for. I doubt you pour it in the eye. Rashes, seizures, stress, tension, ulcers. Safe for neat application. So that means you can use a carrier oil if you want to, but it's very safe. Lavender. Lavender is the #1 essential oil used in the world. Has anyone here never used lavender essential oil? You see, it's very, very popular. People will put it, soap makers will put it into the soap, and they're putting lavender essential oil. It calms agitation, allergies, anxiety, calm a person down, appetite loss, or a person who has loss of appetite. Arrhythmias. What's an arrhythmia? It's where the pulse isn't the same. And so you have variances in the pulse rate. Atherosclerosis, that is clogged arteries, bites and stings, blisters, boils, soothes the breast pain, tender breast syndrome. Number one cause of tender breast syndrome is iodine deficiency. Burns, that is the best. I'll tell you right now, if you have a burn, the best thing I know is lavender. Keep it in the kitchen. Mary Lou burnt her hand back several weeks ago and burned it pretty good in the oven. And it's either on the stove, but it's on the stove, either on top or on the bottom. And it was a good sized burn. And she was going to put water on it and she wanted aloe vera. And I said, get the lavender, get the lavender. We poured out lavender on it. I mean, it was no time. She said, I can't believe it. Much faster than aloe vera, much faster than just putting water on. I mean, it was gone. It's very fast for burns. Cancer? Yes.
But you use the essential oil
yes.
Straight?
Yes, I used it neat. Right on the burn.
And also no oil, no other oil?
I only used just the lavender neat, yes. Cancer, we're seeing lavender used a lot on breast cancer and other types of cancer. Lavender has Dr. George Fletchis, a physician in North Carolina, did some research on this for breast cancer. He actually found that it had actually he said the same chemical that is in chemotherapy. I don't know, but he found it in NIH, National Institute of Health, or PubMed. So it works like a chemotherapy product for breast cancer. Chickenpox, concentration, helps you think. Convulsions, dandruff, depression, diabetic sores, diaper rash. I like for diaper rash, it's good for diaper rash, but I really like using calendula. Calendula is very good for diaper rash. Diuretic, exhaustion, fear, gangrene, gas, or flatulence. Gnat repellent, yes, when I go out in the garden, we have a bad problem where I am of gnats. And y'all know what gnats are. And so I'll wear a hat to keep from putting it on my clothes. And I'll, on the bill of my hat, and sometimes if I have an old shirt or something I'm wearing, an old pair of pants, I'll daub it. And they will leave me alone for right about an hour. I'll use lavender, I'll use clove, peppermint, cedar wood, all of those are good. And it lasts about an hour. Then I'll pull it out and dab it on some more and I can keep on working and they don't bother me. I like it up on the bill of my hat because it keeps them out of my face. Grief or sorrow, dry hair, fragile hair, loss of hair, hay fever, herpes simplex, hyperactivity, it'll calm a child down. Impetigo, inflammation, insomnia. It's good for insomnia. You can spray a little, put a few drops on your pillow. Be careful if you don't want to stain your pillow, if that's a problem. But you could put it on a little cloth and let it dry a little bit and then put it under your pillowcase and you'll still smell it. Itching. Isn't this cool? Look at all this stuff. Isn't that amazing? Go to the drugstore and ask for something all these just for one product. They'd fill your bag. Jet lag, dry lips, mastitis, menopause, mental stress, mood swings, mosquito repellent. I use it for mosquitoes also. Y'all have skeeters? Yes. Mosquitoes, we call them skeeters. Muscular paralysis, pain, Parkinson's, phlebitis, physical stress. Look at this, it just keeps going on and on. Poison ivy, poison oak. Now y'all don't have that here. Post-labor, postpartum depression. Postpartum depression, do you know what Harvard has found is the major cause of postpartum depression? Estrogen. And how do you stabilize estrogen? It's right here. Wild yam cream. Wild yam cream is phenomenal in stabilizing, because when you stabilize progesterone, you stabilize estrogen. So when that lady gives birth, start using the wild yam cream. And that will help to stabilize estrogen and then help with postpartum depression. Rashes, relaxation, rheumatoid arthritis, sedatives, seizures, dry skin, sensitive skin, skin ulcers. Look at this. Sleep, stress, stretch marks, sunburn. We talked about that. So instead of just a burn that you have from the stove, you could put it on sunburns. Tachycardia. Tachycardia is the pulse over 100. Teeth grinding, that just calms a person down. There's a lot of teeth grinding out there. Stress will do that. Teething pain, tension, thrush. My favorite for thrush is what we had yesterday, the Podiarco. Podiarco tea is phenomenal for thrush. Calendula is good for thrush. But also you can use lavender for thrush. Thrush, have you ever seen that little white look on a baby's tongue or on a person's tongue? What do you call it? Do you know that name? Help me with thrush. How would you say how would you describe thrush?
It's fungal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What I ask, do you use lavender neat on teeth grinding?
No, you don't put it on the teeth, but you can put it, say, back behind the neck, behind the ear, in the pulse, and it just calms that person. It's the stress at night causing the teeth grinding. And so you use it systemically, topically. You don't put it on the teeth, but it calms the person down, therefore they're less prone to do the grinding. Yeah, sometimes grinding is very loud. The grinding, what was it I saw the other day? Teeth grinding is like an unbelievable amount of pounds that, I won't say what I think it is, it was just crazy high when they're grinding, and people will break teeth when grinding teeth. It's amazing. Talk to your dentist about that. They make guards. Teething pain, tension, thrush, ticks. Yes, you can put it on, say, the base of put it on your clothes. Ticks can drop out of the, y'all have ticks here? Okay, they can drop out of the trees, off the bushes, come up off the ground. And so you can put some lavender on your shoes, the base of your pants, on your clothes, because they can drop off on you and they don't like the smell. Leg ulcers, varicose ulcers, vertigo. There's a product called D-Vertigo, D-I-V-E-R-T-I-G-O, D-Vertigo. It is the best thing I have found for vertigo. It has lavender and it's got a couple other essential oils in it, and it works very, very good for vertigo. I've also found it to work. This is a hard one, y'all. If y'all have something for this, let me know. And that is tinnitus, ringing in the ears. Ringing in the ears is very difficult. D-Vertigo is probably the best thing I have found, which has lavender and a couple other essential oils. Some people find in Africa they use ginkgo biloba for ringing in the ears. It has been found that dehydration can cause ringing in the ears. But if you have a good one for tinnitus, let me know.
So this D-Vertigo is like a mixture of different ones.
Yes, and so you can I just don't have it in my head. I should, it's only a couple. And you can add those 4 or 5 herbs and you'll make your own. And it works very good. You just put a drop behind the ear. I have a friend, he's a physician, and he lives up in the mountains, and he has to drive like 2 hours to Atlanta for business. And he got to the point he could not drive. He'd get on the interstate and he would then start everything swirling, and he could not even see to even know if it was safe to pull off. It was that bad, very dangerous. So he quit driving those distances. So I told him about the Divertigo. It works before he leaves the house proactively. He puts it behind his ears. He can drive to Atlanta before he comes home, puts it on. He has no problems at all. Works very well. I have only found just a couple people, maybe 2 over the years that it did not work on. Withdrawal, worms, wounds, and wrinkles. Isn't that amazing? That's a lot of stuff. Think how many drugs how many prescriptions you would have had to written for all of these items. Now this is cool. Safe for neat applications. When in doubt, use lavender. There's another one that says that, and in the industry, and it's when in doubt, use frankincense. Frankincense is amazing also. Eucalyptus. Who's used eucalyptus? Yeah, most of us have. You've used it as an essential oil. You've used the leaves. Eucalyptus is very, very good. Steam distilled from the leaves can be applied neat or diluted 1-to-1 for children and those with sensitive skin. And be careful with children. Children can be more sensitive on neat than adults, and so you may need to dilute a little bit. Did you know that when we go out and we're in the sun, our skin can kind of harden up a little bit? And we're less prone to, when we get sunshine, we're less prone to getting scratches, we're told. And so our skin's a little tougher sometimes than, and as we get older, it may, but it's a little tougher than babies. And so you don't want to use neat for some things. Diffuse or inhale the aroma directly. Do y'all have Vicks here? Have you ever heard of Vicks?
Yeah, we have.
You have it? It was developed in North Carolina in the United States. And the big ingredient is eucalyptus. It has some menthol, but Vicks is very powerful. They put it on the chest. So Vicks is used for the chest. It's used to put on your nose. If you have a mustache, it's really good. And essential oils are really cool. For those of us that have mustaches, I can put it on here and I can keep smelling it. You know, it's pretty cool. You can take a hanky and smell it. You can take those little nose things that you have and it has a little piece of cotton in it. Well, you can take a hypodermic, a syringe with a hypodermic needle, stick it down in your essential oil. I use this from a German physical therapist. And you draw it up. He was actually in the Hitler Youth when he was a little boy, and his mama took him and escaped to America because she saw what was about to happen and got her son away from that. And he taught me to just draw it up, stick it in your little inhaler, squirt it into the little piece of the cotton. Thank you, Mary Lou. The cotton, and boom, you got your inhaler. It wears out. Keep repeating it. You don't have to keep buying an inhaler. Works very well. Eucalyptus, asthma, bronchitis, cancer, cellulite, colds, congestion, coughs. It's a disinfectant. Dust mites, earaches, fever, the flu, very good for flu issues. Kidney stones, malaria, mental sluggishness. Have you ever been just kind of, I just ain't thinking right today? Well, put a little eucalyptus, maybe on your mustache if you have a mustache, or put it on a cloth and put it behind your ear, put it in the back of the neck, and that can kind of get your mental clarity going. Yeah. Muscle fatigue, pain, pneumonia, respiratory. What is the big area you see eucalyptus used for? Pulmonary issues. Yeah, pulmonary issues. Shingles, sinusitis. Safety. Dilution recommended. Don't use neat. And possible skin sensitivity. So just be cautious if your skin may be sensitive, like Ashley is to most of them, though. Peppermint. Have you ever used peppermint essential oil? Now, yesterday we talked about peppermint essential oil. 1 drop of peppermint essential oil, you'd have to drink how many cups of the tea that we made you? 28, you're right. She's a good student. You'd have to have 28 cups of peppermint tea to equal just 1 drop of peppermint essential oil. I had this girl that worked for us. She went to local high school. She did not have the training that we have, the knowledge that we have, and healthy things like coffee's bad for you. She's, just grew up in the local community. She was a senior in high school. She'd worked for us all through high school. And one day she came to me and she said, it seems like y'all don't think coffee's good for you. As she observed us over the time. I said, no, it's not. And I told her some of the harmful effects of coffee. She says, I drink 1 cup of coffee every morning on the way to school just to get going. She says, I don't care about the coffee, the taste. I just need the mental wake up. Is there anything I can use? And I said, well, try this. Don't use this. Never put essential oils in a plastic bottle. It can cause the plastic bottle to melt and you can start drinking plastic. Put your essential oils either in metal, such as this, or in glass. So she had a non-plastic container. I told her to fill it up, and it was about 1 liter. I told her to put 2 drops of peppermint essential oil. A week later, she comes back to me and she says, I have more energy drinking the peppermint water than I do the coffee. Isn't God good? You don't have to have the other stuff.
How many drops?
2.
And how much water?
1 liter. That's all she did. Yeah. Steam distillation from the leaves can be applied neat or diluted, diffused or inhaled. You can take it orally, and it can be a flavoring for food or beverages. Do you ever want some peppermint flavoring in your recipe and you don't have some fresh peppermint? What are some of the essential oils you use, Mary Lou, in the kitchen? Orange? Peppermint?
If I don't have a fresh ginger, I'll use
Ginger? Oregano even. Oregano? Basil? Yeah. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Sometimes we just don't have that fresh. She would rather use the fresh, but if we don't, then she just puts whatever she needs to use. I don't know how much it is. Okay, benefits. Alertness. Have you ever, Mary Lou, well, if I don't fly, Mary Lou usually goes with me. And there's times that we have to drive a good ways. And I'll start getting tired. And she has peppermint right there in the car. And she'll see me starting to get a little tired, and she'll take it and she'll rub it on the back, put it behind the ears, she'll put it on my wrist, and I'll wake up. And so it can help with alertness. Allergies, asthma. But let me share one with you for asthma. Do you know what albuterol is? It's a bronchial dilator. So we use it for asthma, COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is asthma used to be part of COPD, but is not anymore. They took it out about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. COPD is now either emphysema or chronic bronchitis. And so they will give you an inhaler that has albuterol in it. It can cause different problems in the body, side effects, can be expensive. And so a good surgeon friend of mine taught me, and then I have another surgeon friend that validated it, that you just take your nebulizer, which is, that folks use during COVID, and breathe on it. Not the little, but the one that you either is battery and you breathe into. It puts a mist, and you fill it up with distilled water. Distilled water. When you're inhaling, it's good to use distilled water. You don't want to have water that you're getting pathogens. Put some distilled water and put 4 drops of eucalyptus essential oil based on the nebulizer. They make them that have electrolysis. And as you know, with electrolysis, you must have some mineralization for electrolysis to take part. So you can either put a drop of trace minerals or 1 or 2 kernels of your sea salt. And that will cause enough mineralization that you can have electrolysis now work. And as you breathe it, It works better than albuterol. It's amazing. And this surgeon taught me this many years ago. Then that's what he used for his patients. So if you're having asthma issues, you're having problems breathing, yes, peppermint can help. But if you're wanting to open those bronchioles, bronchial dilation, the eucalyptus. Well, actually, we already covered eucalyptus. I forgot to mention that. So the eucalyptus works good. Okay, autism, bad breath, halitosis, burns, colon health. It's very good for colon health. When I use formulas for the colon, I'll put peppermint in my formula. It's good to heal the tissue. Cravings, digestive disorders, energy. If you want more energy, if you're dealing with fevers, gamma radiation exposure, gastritis works good for gastritis, but get to root cause. Just don't treat with peppermint. That's inflammation of the the stomach there. Headaches, it does work good for headaches. Lavender works good for headaches. Hives, hot flashes, loss of sense of smell. People would use this for COVID loss of smell, and it helped some people. It was the most popular if something worked. Memory, increased memory. Migraines, I have people use it for migraines. It decreases milk supply. So be cautious if you're nursing because you don't want to cut back on milk supply. Muscle stiffness, sinusitis. The best thing I found for sinusitis is a far infrared light. A far infrared light, about 11 inches off the nose. It's good for rhinitis and sinusitis. Works extremely well. You can actually, I've seen it plumb gone. Dilute for topical applications. Avoid at night. Why do you want to avoid it at night?
Makes you alert.
Yeah, it makes you alert. Now, this is one I want to get to quickly, and I'll try to go fast. Who's heard of Copaiba? It's a great tool. It's now becoming one of my favorite essential oils. It comes out of Brazil. It comes from a tree. The trees are about 30 to 50 years old. They tap it like you would maple syrup. Steam distillation from the resin, applied neat, diffused, inhaled, or it can be capsuled or in water. Abdominal bloating, abdominal pain. Copaiba is the most anti-inflammatory plant product in the world that they have found. The most anti-inflammatory. Is there inflammation problems out there today? So it's tremendous for inflammation. Acne, aged skin, anxiety, arthritis, atherosclerosis, clogged arteries, autoimmune disorders, bacterial infections, bedwetting, bites, blisters, bruising, burns, cancer, colitis, collagen production, dry hair, dry skin, eczema, endometriosis, fungal infections, gout, heel spurs. Now, the best thing I found for heel spurs is about 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium, a good quality calcium with half that in magnesium. Anytime you take calcium, you've got to take half that in magnesium in milligrams, and say a teaspoon twice a day of a good trace mineral, and we see bone spurs go away. And what's the other one that you have with your foot? Plantar fasciitis. Excellent for plantar fasciitis. Thank you, Mary Lee. High blood pressure, incontinence, inflammation. There's your inflammation. Intestinal infections, liver detoxicity, migraines, muscle cramps, nausea, pain. There's your plantar fasciitis also, so it makes sense. If it's working for plantar fasciitis, it's working for the heel spurs, very similar. PMS, psoriasis, respiratory problems, sleep problems, sore throat, sprains, tendinitis, tonsil problems, viral infections, vomiting, wound healing. Now, I will tell you what I use Copaiba for the most. Yes, inflammation. I use it a lot for inflammation. But what I use Copaiba for the most, it has similar properties, but better properties than CBD oil. It helps the cannabinoids. No, it doesn't have THC or anything in it. People with Parkinson's, essential tremors. I have a guy right now that's gone over a year and a half without epileptic grand mal seizures. This guy is a contractor. He's fallen off the house, I don't know how many times doing roofing, off the ladders, whatever. He had to quit working. He had so many broken bones. He was in the store one day. Just stress. Just stress. He's a guy, this guy does no fruit. Have you ever heard of people that don't do fruit? This guy eats no fruit. Well, Mary Lou makes a delicious fruit smoothie. And as a friend, okay, I'll do it. But he was so stressed to drink the smoothie, as he stood up to walk over to get it from her, as she was having it for him, he went into a grand mal seizure and fell on the floor. That's how sensitive this guy was. He's now been over a year and a half using Copaiba. It's phenomenal. 2 drops under the tongue, 2 to 3 times a day, sublingual. Over a year and a half. That's how sensitive he was to it's usually stress-induced, work-wise. But we have men that will just, their hands are shaking, or ladies. Works very, very good for that, Copaiba. And here, and I'll finish with this, the safety, avoid contact with eyes. Yes.
Would you apply the same way that you just described, 2 drops under the tongue, or would you apply it differently for different?
Yeah, different areas. You can apply it neat. Actually, I do it neat. Does it say it's a problem? I don't think it does it? It's not required, exceptional. I do it neat when I do it, and it's saying here you can do it unless they're sensitive.
But you use it for children?
Pardon?
Can you use it for children?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And if the child, so I would do just 1 drop, 2 to 3 times a day, BID to TID, sublingual.
He was asking if you could take it under the tongue, but you can take it internally, 2 to 4 drops.
Yes.
I think that's what you're saying, right?
Or you're saying also, oh yes, you can just put it in water if you want to. I just like sublingual.
For example, in the foot, you would apply it on the foot?
Absolutely. Apply it to the affected area. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good question. Dilution is not required except for sensitive skin. In the children, that's where you want to be careful. Sensitive skin for children. If pregnant, so yes, you can put it directly on the skin. If pregnant, nursing, or under a doctor's care, consult your physician. You don't normally see that in them, but they want you to be cautious with the Copaiba for that one and keep out of reach of children. If you want to learn more about Copaiba, talk to a Brazilian. Brazilians are very familiar with using Copaiba for generations. And so whenever I talk to a Brazilian, are you familiar with Copaiba? Oh yes, our family uses Copaiba. It's kind of like, are you familiar with using eucalyptus? Oh yes, our families use Vicks for our whole life. So, well y'all, again, time is out.